Africa, the continent of the mighty. Droughts, famines, wars, dictatorships, radical Islam. The continent has survived it all. Its problems today are many, but Africa is fighting. It wants to rid itself of all rather medieval problems. It wants to embrace the 21st century. But one country in Asia still considers Africa a lesser entity. It considers Africans subhumans. It thinks it can enslave Africa. But Africa is giving China a run for its money. And things do get bloody every now and then. Ask yourself, is a Chinese little emperor any match for an African person? The only thing a Chinese soldier can do best is to get his neck snapped in Africa. And in Uganda, while China has scored a momentary victory, a massive crisis awaits it. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm Siddharth, your host. And in this video, I will tell you how Xi Jinping might have just made a big blunder with the takeover of Uganda's airport. Let's begin. The debt trap diplomacy of China forms the bedrock of Xi Jinping's flagship Belt and Road initiative, and China is using it to hash out the assets of various nations in lieu of the debts these poor countries owe to Beijing. The modus operandi is fairly simple. Enter a country on the pretext of developmental activities, hand out fishy loans with exorbitant interest rates, and when the state fails to repay it, capture its territories and strategic assets of national importance. And before anyone knows it, China becomes the de facto ruler of such countries, and they lose all their sovereignty to a communist madman. This is what happened with Sri Lanka. It also happened with Zambia. Now it is happening with Uganda. The Export-Import Bank of China, also known as Exim Bank, has taken over the Ugandan Entebbe International Airport and other assets in the country over the failure of the Ugandan government to repay a loan. The takeover of Uganda's only international airport comes as a consequence of the Chinese Communist Party sliding in some toxic clauses in a 2015 loan agreement between China and Uganda. In 2015, the Museveni-led Uganda signed an agreement with Exim Bank of China to borrow $207 million at 2% upon disbursement. According to the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority, some provisions in the financing agreement with China expose Entebbe International Airport and other Ugandan assets to be attached and taken over by Chinese lenders upon arbitration in Beijing. Unconsciously, in 2015, the Ugandan government waived international immunity in the agreement it signed with China to secure the loans, exposing the airport to takeovers without international protection. If we have learned anything from Africa in recent times, it is that the continent is in no mood to allow China to walk all over it. Africa has become a geopolitical battleground between various powers like Russia, France, the United States, Israel, China, and others, all of which are trying to secure their interests in various countries of the continent. China, however, is really the one suffering one setback after the other. While the Ugandan airport takeover might seem like a big victory for Beijing, it is not. Here's why. The very fact that Africa is a geopolitical battleground for world powers is a big problem for China. Uganda is a close partner of Russia, and Vladimir Putin will not view such a hostile takeover of the country's international airport lightly. Now, various powers can work to turn the already disenchanted people of Uganda against China, and that would really spell doom for the communist nation. Uganda has a dark history. It has seen dictatorships up close. Now, if Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, cannot secure the country's interests, the people will rise against him. Whichever regime succeeds will not be half as lenient with Beijing as Museveni has been. Thereupon, China will find itself not being paid its loans back, and also being kicked out of the international airport that it has taken over by force if necessary. The Democratic Republic of Congo lies just next to Uganda on its western border. Uganda is flanked by Kenya on its eastern border, and the Central African Republic is also not very far away. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone, Ghana, and Kenya have begun cancelling Chinese projects. This is also the mining belt of Africa. Recently, the DRC's president, Felix Tshisekedi, has called for a review of mining contracts signed with China in 2008, while also mounting an attack against China's exploitative tendencies. Chinese designs to use up Kenya's Mombasa port, meanwhile, have hit a massive judicial wall, and Beijing has practically failed in its objectives. To top it all, a season of coups seems to have descended upon Africa, all of which have Russia's backing. These military regimes are driving out China from the continent rather mercilessly. Russia has been involved discreetly in many African coups, and its mercenary groups appear to play a deeper role in countries such as Mali, Libya, and the Central African Republic. The coup in Sudan came just months after two successful coups in Mali in 2020 and in May 2021. The most recent coup attempt, which came prior to Sudan, was in Guinea. The recent spate of military takeovers in Africa began in November 2017, when the then Zimbabwean president Robert Mugabe was placed under house arrest. Uganda too could fall to the military, in which case China will be given a bloody run for its money in the African country. Xi Jinping might have just made a big blunder with the takeover of Uganda's airport.